So let's start from the beginning. Galcus Magrum Centaurs. I want to learn more about the Centaur clans, the rivaling hordes, the Khans and their battles with each other, the Princess Theredras. I want to learn more about the rise and the birth of the Centaur clans, how the Centaurs almost drove the Tauren to extinction, that the Centaur clans are actually massive. I think for Classic Plus, they should double the size they should increase the size of Kalimdor. They should stretch that shit out and add more Centaur zones. Lore-wise, the Centaur Khans and the Centaur hordes are a ginormous threat. Like, the fact that the Centaurs are a minor faction forgotten about in vanilla is insane to me. The Centaurs almost drove Orgrimmar into extinction. The Centaurs are genuinely devastating as a faction that they're considered a non-factor. The Galcus and Magram should be a faction we fight together with to stop the unification of all of the Centaur clans. Desolace needs a raid. There needs to be actual reputations and like items and dungeons aside from Maraudon in regards to the Centaurs in Desolace and the Barons. People forget how powerful and dangerous the Centaurs in Vanilla and Warcraft 3 were. Yes, Blizzard abandoned and forgot about them completely, but in Vanilla, the Centaurs are incredibly, incredibly important, and they should not be forgotten about in Classic Plus as a major threat. The Defias Brotherhood, the entire Van Cleef storyline, the Stonemason Guild, Onyxia, the Stockades, as well as on top of the Stockades, you also have, for example, Stormwind Vault, where you have all these prisoners. We were meant to initially capture Van Cleef, put him in Stormwind stock in the vaults, and then deal with the Onyxia storyline, which sends us to the vaults, where we have to rescue people, find out about Onyxia. The storyline was meant to expand drastically. It was limited in how much of the story we actually got in vanilla. There is so much of the story. There's so much of the gameplay, to the loop, to the design, to how we're meant to play, to how we're meant to actually partake in things, the philosophy behind the design. The Defias Brotherhood is a major faction that is treated like a side faction in regards to Onyxia. Van Cleef and the Defias Brotherhood and the Stonemason Guild storyline needs more attention. There needs to be far more plot and far more centralization into the Defias Brotherhood storyline as a reputation and as a faction. Ogre clans. Where do I even begin with the Ogre clans? You have the Stone Maul. You have all of these Ogre clans that are absolutely insane in vanilla itself. And I know the Defias Brotherhood questline is finished, Roth. I'm not talking about the Defias questline. I'm talking about the reputation. The Stonemason Guild, Stormwind Vaults. They need to be about how we rehabilitate the Defias Brotherhood, how we bring Stormwind to justice, how we actually improve the quality of life of the people of Stormwind post Onyxia. There needs to be more questlines. The development of Westfall, fixing Westfall and developing a human town and city there, a dock or like a port city in Westfall. There are so many ways they can make the Defias Brotherhood a bigger and more important part of the world that people just disregard as, well, the story's finished. It's not. It's the beginning of the story. But the Ogre clans. Ogre should be a playable race for the Horde. There are so many interesting Ogre clans across Azeroth. You have the Ogres in Dustwallow. You have the Ogres in this context, Loch Madan. You have Ogres that are meant to be on the eastern side of where the Twilight Highlands is. You then, of course, have the Ogres in, like, so many other zones as well. Teneris, you have Ogres all the way in Feralis. There are so many Ogres across the world that they need to make the Ogre clans have more reputations. I think they should be, the Stonemaul Ogres should have a reputation in of themselves. The Stonemaul Ogre should be a major reputation for the Horde. The Alliance should have potentially, I don't know if the Alliance should have an Ogre reputation, but I think the Horde should have 2 or 3 reputations for Ogres. I think we should have more Ogre clans and an Ogre dungeon and like Ogre reputations to be grinding and playing and enjoying. They're a forgotten race that are meant to be one of the core fundamental races for the players in general. The Syndicate, much like the Defias Brotherhood, the Syndicate is like, you know, a faction that has way more story that would never get to explore. The Syndicate, Ravenholt, and the Bloodsail Buccaneers are 3 factions that need to be expanded upon drastically. The Syndicate needs to be more assassin-y, more, similar to the Bloodsail Buccaneers, right? It's a criminal faction, a criminal enterprise. There needs to be more storylines. It should start at negative or hated, and you should work your way towards it. So the Syndicate should be the opposite of maybe the Defiance Brotherhood. Or maybe they should be the opposite of... I'm not sure which faction here they should be the opposite of. But like, because, Bloodsail and Steamweedle, opposites of each other. Or Venture Co. Like, all the Goblin cartels hate the Bloodsails. So like, there should be like an opposite of the Syndicate here. Cenarian Circle. We need the Emerald Dream. Hyjal. We need to talk about, adding more Druid races. For example, maybe as a new race, the Alliance gets, let me see, like Worgen Druids, right? Or, for example, the Horde getting Troll Druids. Cenarian Circle should be expanded upon and actually truly and absolutely improve the world, the quality of the world, the characters in the world. So, the Cenarian Circle is a major reputation that needs more love. Maybe not at launch, but eventually with Hyjal and the Emerald Dream and other zones and locations like that. Argent Dawn, need more be said. Scarlet Enclave, you have the rebuilding of Lordaeron, you have the Scarlet Crusade they're dealing with, so the combat and faction, like balance and dynamic between those. Human supremacy and how we're dealing with human supremacy. So the Argent Dawn could be really sick. And also going back to the various ogre clans, Rexxar and the Mok Nathal. The half ogres as a race would be really sick. But nonetheless, Brood of Nozdormu, Caverns of Time. Either Brood of Nozdormu needs to be like a whole faction in of itself, or we need to actually split it. So you have the Brood of Nozdormu, and then you have the Keepers of Time, or the Bronze Dragonflight. But we need a big, in-depth reputation in regards to the Caverns of Time for both the Horde and Alliance. They're going into alternate timelines, the future, the past, exploring the Troll Wars, the Null Wars, exploring the founding of Stormwind, the sacking of Stormwind when the first war where the Horde won and burnt the Stormwind to the ground, the second war, Alterac Valley's betrayal and Lordaeron burning Alterac Valley down. So there are so many really cool timelines there that would make the Brood of Nozdormu being expanded upon very important. Chandrila, the original mages. Well, the original mages were trolls, but, whatever. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different lore argument that, I have to go back into time where we have to go to where they didn't nerf the shit out of trolls because fuck trolls, because Blizzard hates trolls. But the Chandrila as the Night Elf mages, as a remaining faction of High Elves. Well, not High Elves. Pre-Night Elves. So the Night Elves, the Night Elf Empire, like, Azshara, where the Night Elves were different before they became all druidic and, almost like the noble savages. So I think the Chandrila should get because getting them exalted is impossible, I think, in vanilla. So they should expand upon it. Talk about reintegrating mages for Night Elves, making them feel better, making it add to the world, improving the storyline and quest lines, giving the Night Elves and the Alliance a faction that feels rewarding to improve upon your reputation and the gear, and how, maybe they should make it an event where after 6 months or a year or 2 years, eventually the Chandrila join the Alliance, and now we get Night Elf mages, right? So that way you get a new spec that's added to the game for Night Elves to now be mages, which gives people a reason to level a new alt. Zandala tribe, as I was saying this earlier, Zandala, the original trolls, the original troll empire, the original points, the original discussion and how it was done, the OG trolls were gods. They conquered Azeroth. They had multiple empires. They fought the Black Empire to a standstill before Blizzard nerfed and gutted the fucking lore to oblivion and made the trolls a nothing burger of bullshit. Because they gave all the cool troll lore to Azshara, called Hot Mummy Night Elf. And it pisses me off because the trolls should not have lost their power. Rastakhan, when originally introduced, was a 10,000-year-old god king who forced the lower to submit to him and was god emperor. He is a forest troll. He's not even a Zandalari. He conquered them by his virtuous power. Virtue is not the right word. By his power and his will. And they changed what he is. He just died so they can make Talanji a main character, and they nerfed the shit out of everything about the Zandalari being cool. The Zandalari saw the cataclysm happen, made a shield around Zandalar, and ignored it. Well, no, they didn't make a shield around Zandalar during Cataclysm. They made a shield around Zandalar mountain ranges during the Sundering back 10,000 years ago, yada yada yada. So I want them to go back and expand upon the old troll lore in the Zandalar tribe reputation. Darkmoon Fair, it's fun. They should add the Darkmoon Fair Island and the zone, make people care about it, give some rewards, some tickets, like, you know, that fun reputation grind. I thought it was fun in retail. I think it'd be fun in classic. Don't need to say much about that. Bloodsail Buccaneers, you should be hated by, you know, the Fires Brotherhood, the Syndicate. You should be hated by the Steamweedle Cartel and all the Goblin cartels. So they should absolutely expand upon Bloodsail Buccaneers. Make rogues have reputations that they want to pursue. And like make it like, you know, some cool cosmetics, some cool mounts, some cool things. The Bloodsail Buccaneers is sick. Make it difficult. The exalted, you know, the insane achievement should still be there. But make people want to actually achieve this. And that is what I was trying to say, Eel. You're correct. By the virtue of his power alone, he conquered. Thank you. So the Bloodsail Buccaneers, I think, is huge and really good. So I like the idea. Same thing with VentureCo and Steamweedle Cartel. Those Goblin cartels, you know, these shitty corporations, right? Bloodsail, Venture, Syndicate, the Fires Brotherhood should be expanded upon. Shitty, negative factions should still have reputations you can grind and work towards to add quality and substance to the game, to the quality of what kind of content you can grind towards. Make your own content, make your own goals, make your own achievements, but work on it. Frostmane Trolls, another Horde faction. The Horde faction here should be in that zone between like south of Dunmoreau and north of Alwyn. That zone there. Western, in this context, Blackrock Mountain. There should be a troll hub, troll factions, troll NPCs. They should really expand upon that and add more flavor there. I think it would be really good and interesting overall. So I think Frostmane Trolls being a Horde reputation is a good thing. Same thing with the trolls retaking Jinta lore, right? That would be really positive. That Horde reputation there. This is just, they haven't even covered every reputation they could add to the game, just some of the bigger ones. Thorium Brotherhood has a lot of lore and like reputation rewards already. They don't really need to rework them a lot, but you know, the rebuilding of a Dark Iron City to be pro-alliance, reintegration into the Dwarven Empire. Same thing with the Wildhammer dwarves. The Alliance need more reputations and more dwarf factions around the world as well. Yeah, thank you. The Battle for Jinth Lore. That's a good one, Padre. Exactly what I'm saying. Infinite Dragonflight, same thing as the Keepers of Time or the Bronze Dragonflight, a negative faction against the opposite of the Keepers of Time. So if you get the Infinite Dragonflight maxed out, the Brood of Nozdormu and the Keepers of Time hate you. And it should be like you're trying to change the future. You're trying to change time. You're trying to make time different, make the world different. And I think that would be absolute goddamn peak. And it's the 29th, Dirty. The 29th is the roadmap. Hydraction Waterlords, need to say more elemental stories, more elemental quest lines, more elemental conversation pieces, whatever. Not just the Hydraction Waterlords and talking about Neptune and all of these like positive reputations that deal against the negative reputations. The Fire Elementals is a negative rep. The Earth Elementals is a negative reputation. So they need to have like positive reputations for the Horde and Alliance that are expanded upon. Better gear, more rewards, more reasons. The Hydraction Waterlords should matter past Molten Core. Timbermoor Hold, need I say more? Timbermoor Hold as a raid, Timbermoor Hold as a zone and a location, a subterranean one. You have Ajara Crater, you have the underground, the underwater dungeon in Ajara. The Timbermoor Hold reputation should have so many things right here that add, expand, and truly delve into the world, the characters, the segments. It is genuinely an important, interesting, and exciting part of the world that has not been touched upon or expanded upon. And then Steamweedle Cartel. I think the Goblin cartels need more work, more love, more attention. And this also ties into things like, for example, Kulturas, Tolbarad, Zuldar, Baelor, Crestfall. All of these islands off the coast of the wetlands, Gilneas, Hillsbrad, like Galidia in chat saying, and those were planned to be in the map, they need reputations. So Kulturos needs a reputation, Tolbrad needs a reputation, Zul'Dan needs a reputation, Baelor and Crestfall needs a reputation, Gilneas needs a reputation, Wetlands and Hillsbrad need to be expanded upon with more reputations and zones and dungeons and raids. There's so many things that they haven't even added to this list so far, and I'm still going through the survey, right? So we still have time, but it's just something I want to talk about here. But that's all the reputations. So I'm going to make this a separate video, this reputation segment, upload to the second channel, but this whole survey is our main channel video so far still.